I'm taking 816 Whiskey Romeo over to get a new carb heat box put in. The old one is worn out and it's time to get a new one put in and have better carb heat capability. All right, gonna go pick up my Super Cub. We had a new airbox, Carburetor Air Box installed. It's a pretty windy, gusty day. I just gotta get it from one hangar to another. As you can see, it's kind of cold and blustery. It's got some snow squalls. So I'm gonna take it slow on that taxi. So this is the Carb Air heat box for my Super Cub. And you can see this is the area that became the problem. Basically worn out, this clamshell mechanism for opening and closing the damper, if you will. And so when the carb heat was off, it would slowly turn itself back on by just kind of slipping. And so I'd have to keep my forearm on the carb heat knob to prevent it from slipping. It mostly happened during a climb out. On cruise, it was not so much of a problem. Okay, there's the new air box with a carb heat cable connected to it. Looks like it's done very well. I'm going to give it a shot. As you can see there, the carb heat cable is moving freely. The Carb Air Box is working fine. I actually did a run up and it worked perfectly. If we look at the nose of the plane, this is where the air filter is. Comes in and it flows into the Carb Air Box down here, and that filtered cold air normally is what goes into the carburetor. But when we have conditions that are ripe for carb icing, we would turn on the carb heat, and the air comes from this tube, which is basically taking warm air that gets warmed up near the exhaust system, and then it will melt any ice that's in the carburetor itself. Okay, today we're going to go out and we're going to talk a little bit about carburetor heat. I recently had to replace my Carb Air Box because I was having a carburetor heat problem. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the use of carburetor heat and why it's so important to make sure it's absolutely working before you go out and fly. It's absolutely required through the car to make sure that function is working in your plane if you have a carburetor-based piston engine. So we're going to go out and fly. We're going to talk about a little bit more in the air. I've got a helicopter right off my nose here, taxiing. Not sure what it's doing. So if I turn on carburetor heat, we should see a little bit of a drop, which we do. Turn it back off, it comes back up, that's working great. Put carb heat back on. I'll bring it all the way down to idle, make sure the aircraft runs at idle with carb heat on. Then I'll turn carb heat back off, and it should come up just a little bit, which it does. Laconia traffic, Super Cub 816 Whiskey Romeo, taxiing from the 26 run up here to runway 26 Laconia. Alright, got a little bit of a crosswind out here, so we're going to put some crosswind correction in. We're going to line up here nice and straight, make sure we get runway headings. So we're out here flying over Lake Winnipesaukee. It is now March 12th, and the lake is completely still covered in ice. I have seen some people still out on the ice, but I wouldn't bother doing it. A little bit too risky for me. Wow, I can see the ocean really clearly today. Alright, so I'm out here checking my carburetor heat. It looks like it's working just fine. If I put carburetor heat on, I get some RPM drops, as you can see there. Turn it off, the RPMs come up. Working like a champ. Yeah, I was starting to experience some issues where the carburetor air box was just kind of wearing out, and it was a lot of slippage and turning carb heat on automatically. I just kind of would drift back, particularly in climbs, and I wanted to get that replaced. And the unit was just so worn out that we figured it's best to just get a new one. And that's what I put in. And testing it out here today, and it looks like it's flying just perfectly. But when it comes to carburetor heat, it's very important on carburetor-based engines
that you have carb heat capability. You can get any type of carb icing anywhere between 20 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and it can even go outside that range a little bit sometimes. And when it happens, it can be quite sudden or it can be kind of gradual. I've flown in Skyhawks where you always turn the carb heat on below about 2,000 RPMs because you always have the concern, based on the way they think they do their ducting inside that aircraft, that the air is be very cold and moist. It's coming in off the filtered air. So you put the carb heat on basically when you get below about 2,000 RPMs to ensure that you've got plenty of warm air going in, warming up that carburetor, and making sure you have no icing buildup. I have flown in Skyhawks where on the climb out that I was experiencing carb icing, and what happens there is it's just kind of a slow degradation in RPMs. Feels a little rough, put the carb heat on, it feels even rougher, and then all of a sudden it kind of smooths out after about 30 seconds. Then you can take the carb heat off and continue to climb and no issues. But again, the same thing can typically happen when you're low RPM setting. You don't want to be coming in on final with carb heat on, low RPM, then all of a sudden lose the engine. I've personally had it happen to me once in this Super Cub, typically with Piper aircraft, Piper Archers, Piper Warriors, Super Cubs, not really using carb heat very often. Frankly, I've never used it in Piper Archers or Warriors. Never needed it, always test it, always use it to make sure it's working, but never had a carb icing situation. Again, I think it's something different with the ductwork on the air intake on the Piper aircraft fouling area versus in the, let's say, Skyhawks. However, the temperature conditions were just right one day that I was in this Cub doing pattern work. I did one lap in the pattern, landed, did a stop and go. No carb heat, didn't turn carb heat on at all. And then what I wound up finding out is on takeoff, all of a sudden the engine went from max RPM, about 2,400 RPM that I was having on the climb out, to all of a sudden I thought the engine shut off. Instead, what happened, the power went back to about 1,000 RPM, and it happened in like a light switch. And so I wound up reaching out to Piper, talking to them about it, talking to an expert there that's got a lot of experience with Super Cubs, and basically he thought it was probably a carb ice. He also had some other idea that it was possibly associated with icing in the fuel cap area, creating a vacuum in the fuel tank. If that had been the case, I would have had some type of deformation in the fuel tank, which I didn't have. So we chalked it up to carb icing. And so my policy became at that point, anytime I'm on the downwind, I will put carb icing or carb heat on. And then when I turn final, right after I turn final, put my last notch of flaps in, I'll also turn off my carb heat at that point. That way I have melted any potential ice in the carburetor, and I have the maximum go power to do a go around if I need it. And that's been my policy to date, and I've had no issues with carb ice. But I do recognize it's a real thing that can happen. I've personally been through it, and thus when I was starting to have some issues with my carb heat, I thought we better get that fixed. So that's it basically on carburetor heat. Very important thing that you need to have working if you have a carburetor-based engine, whether it be Piper or Skyhawk or any other aircraft. If it's got a carburetor-based engine versus fuel-injected, there should be carb heat in it versus per the car. Civil aeronautics regulations, it's in there about needing some type of system for removing any potential ice or preventing ice buildup in the carburetor. Looking over at Alton Bay and then to the west, northwest, we're looking down view of Lake Winnipesaukee. As you can see, it's all iced in still. Again, I would not recommend going out on that ice at this point. Alton Bay ice runway closed several weeks ago now due to insufficient ice. So I would not recommend it. Going out in type of vehicle and even walking on it, you want to make sure you know what you're doing before you do it. The weather is certainly warming up now, and we're starting to see some open water around the edges of the lake. Much open areas where the bubblers are. A16 Whiskey Romeo seems to be flying very well. All the engine instruments are looking great. All the other instruments are looking fine. And it seems to be flying very well, trimmed out nicely. Finger type control here on the stick. So just looking forward to the spring and getting out there and getting some better flying in. Hopefully you now have a better understanding of carburetor heat and why it's necessary and what you can expect if you get carburetor icing problems and what to expect when you turn carburetor heat on when you've got carburetor icing problems. And anyways, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them below, or comments, leave them below, and I'll try to respond to them. And if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you get notified of my next video. Alright, carb heat's on at midfield. As I roll out in final here, I'm putting my carb heat off, so I have maximum RPMs if I need to do a go around. Definitely have a crosswind here. Oh, there's a little rough there. It's a tough one. Hold it off. Hold it off. That was rough.